Karl Green, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I am Liz Berg for Smarts and Entertainment, and it's a pleasure to speak with you.
It's my pleasure speaking with you.
So I'm going to take you back to April of 1965.
Yeah?
There was the new Musical Express Readers Poll concert.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Hermits performed that day, but I want to mention some of the other acts that were on that bill for the people watching this at home. We have the Moody Blues.
Uh-huh.
We have the Animals.
Yep.
We have them featuring Van Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Beatles. We have the Rolling Stones and the Kinks. And that's not even all of the artists.
No, it's like a whole day's concert. It's incredible.
So, can you tell me how you guys felt? Because that was fairly early in that cycle of you guys being really busy. And you were playing with the best of the best. Were you guys nervous about that performance?
Oh, yeah, especially when you go and you see the Beatles play and the Stones and all these other bands, and they're really big. We just couldn't believe that we were accepted as a new band like that, and we went down storm. We actually, on that show, or one of the shows, we did it twice, I think, we were on stage, went on stage, just been announced, we started Must to Avoid, not realising that Peter was backstage talking to John Lennon and didn't hear the song start. So we were going down, went about 5 times, and then Peter decided to come on.
Oh, wow. So that was the 1966
Yeah.
concert, because in 1965 you guys played 2 songs. You played Wonderful World and Mrs. Brown.
Right.
And then in 66 you played A Must to Avoid. So
Yeah.
he was actually delayed because he was talking with John
He was
Lennon.
talking with John Lennon
backstage. What was that backstage like?
Mayhem. But, I mean, we all had our own dressing rooms, and actually Paul McCartney took time before the show to come into our dressing room and just leaned in and said, "Cheers, lads.
How
Good luck. A good one."
Yeah.
Lovely fellas, yeah.
How cool. Now, you guys didn't have stage monitors at that time, is that correct?
No.
How could you hear what you were doing?
We couldn't really.
But you guys, you sounded good. You were in, all your harmonies were in pitch.
Uh-huh.
The band sounded good. Did you have to really watch your stage volume back then?
We couldn't hear much because of the girls screaming. That was the loudest thing, yeah. But, I mean, when we played when we first came to the States and we did tours over here, no monitors, and the PAs weren't that big either. You know,
Right.
They weren't that loud. Today's PA systems are miles bigger. I mean, I think we toured the first tour with a 1 kilowatt PA.
Oh my gosh.
Which now I've got 10 kilowatt at home.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the Screaming Girls.
Uh-huh.
I've always wanted to ask somebody of your generation who had appeared on Ed Sullivan 3 times. One of the times, the screams were just so loud.
Deafening, yeah.
Yes.
And it's that sort of pitch that really hurts your ears as well.
Yeah, that. At what point in your career did that not become fun? Because I would imagine maybe the first couple times were a little bit fun and interesting.
Yeah.
But when did it become detrimental to your performing?
It's when we played nice, sort of places like the Academy of Music in New York. We played there, and we really seriously wanted to show people that we are good musicians. You know, we got labelled as being a teeny bopper band, and we couldn't people just didn't think we could play that much. Mm-hmm. But when people listen to our Hermits records, or I get musicians over here to come and do a show, and I give them the sheets, and they go, "Oh, I didn't realise how complicated Hermits songs are. Lots of chords, lots of key changes, and all this sort of stuff."
Absolutely. There's a kind of a hush comes to mind.
Yeah.
As having a lot going on.
Yeah, I see bands play kind of hush, and when it comes to the bridge, they just play an F and stay there. And an F, it should progress from an F to an F major 7th to a D minor 7th. But, to get that da-da-da. Mm-hmm. Oh, am I using my hands too much? I talk with my hands.
Speaking of that song, There's a Kind of a Hush. Do you agree with me that your version was probably the best? Yours in the original, I favor yours in the original version.
Well, yeah, ours was... We got the song from Les Reed and Jeff Stevens, the guys that wrote the song, directly from them. And then I think the Carpenters did a version. I know that Frank Sinatra did a version, and Engelbert Humperdinck and a few other people. But I thought our version was the nicest. I would like to have heard it a little slower, but all our songs back in the day were really fast. I was listening to She's a Must to Avoid the other day. I couldn't believe how quick we used to do it.
But Kind of Hush, the thing I gravitate to in your version was the groove. And even though I am such a big Karen Carpenter fan of her vocals, I just felt some of those other versions lost a little bit of that groove.
Yeah, it's a brilliant groove, and it's my favourite song of all the Hermits stuff.
Is it really?
Definitely, yeah. I love playing Kind of Hush because the audience joins in the la-las. You get however many people are at a place. Sometimes it's thousands, sometimes it's hundreds. They're all singing away, get their lighters up in the air, and they're all going la 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 la. Brilliant to see that happen.
And when you recorded that, is it correct there was actually 2 basses on that recording?
Yeah, a double bass, John Paul Jones.
So John Paul Jones played an upright bass and you played an electric bass. Is that correct?
Yeah, and John also played piano. He also did all the string parts. He arranged all the string parts. Very clever man.
Now, is it true that you ever considered having him join the band because he toured with you?
John Paul Jones, he came to Germany with us on a Yardley tour. I think Yardley sponsored a tour. And John came on the road playing keyboards with us. Yeah, it was fantastic to have such a great musician doing stuff like that.
Was there ever a consideration of having him join the band?
No, he was too busy.
He was too busy.
He was really. He started doing sessions for Mickey early on, and then Mickey got him to do string arrangements for us for lots of our songs. He worked on a lot of our songs, playing piano, arranging strings and things like that. And I think he played double bass again on an album track called an old Holloway song. Can't remember what it's called now. But Story of My Life, yeah.
Story of My
Life. I think
Life.
on one of the albums, yeah, he played double bass on that.
Okay. Now you've mentioned Mickey. Carl is referring to Mickey Most, famous producer. Mm-hmm. And at the same time he was working with you, he was working with the Animals.
Yep.
I always wanted to ask you, when you were getting certain songs, he would bring you certain songs that he thought were appropriate for you.
Yep.
And he would give other songs to some other acts. Now, you prefer a little bit harder rocking music, personally.
Yeah, I love rock. In fact, I was a lead singer in the band before Peter joined. And we wanted to get Peter in because I only wanted to do rock, and the guys in the band wanted to do Buddy Holly stuff, and I just like doing Eddie Cochran stuff and that sort of stuff.
And is it true Little Richard blew your mind as a young child?
Yeah, I was born in Salford, which is like a docking town, just outside Manchester, and I lived right near number 2 docks, and there was a pub across the road from the gates, and at the age of 8 or 9, we used to go and stand outside the pub and get all the American sailors used to come over, and we'd say, "Have you got any chewing gum, mister?" Because back then we were still on rationing, from the war. We couldn't get chocolate and all this sort of stuff. And I said to one of these sailors one day, "Do you have any 45s, of American rock?" And this guy came, he said, "Come tomorrow night and I'll give you a record." He gave me a single, and I got it home, it was Little Richard. And I just couldn't believe it. And that's when I decided that's what I want to do. I want to be a rocker. And to this day, I still do Little Richard stuff,
A lot of young people don't understand what a huge influence he was on people like yourself and the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say it was about him specifically that blew your mind?
Oh, his range, his groove. I mean, he could just sing any note. And there's a rumour that he actually told Paul McCartney how he did it. Oh. And Paul's never said a word about it to anyone else. And that's why I reckon Paul, now, he still sings those high notes.
Yeah.
It's because of Little Richard telling him the secret.
He gave him
how to sing, yeah.
Some background information. Yeah. All right, going back to Mickey Most and the Animals, I always wanted to ask you, being such a rock fan, when you would see that he would give the Animals songs like "We Gotta Get Out of This Place,"
yep,
and "It's My Life," was there any little bit of jealousy or envy, like, "Oh man, I wish I would have had that song"?
Oh yeah, I would love to have done the Who stuff. I would have been at home in the Who.
Yeah,
definitely, because they were good mates.
Yeah.
But we just got stuff that Peter could sing. It's no good giving stuff to Peter that he can't sing. The only thing we did that Peter had a go at was what's it? Sea Cruise. We did Sea Cruise, but I've actually re-recorded Sea Cruise with me singing it. Yeah. I get more rasp in it, yeah. Because I do some Joe Cocker stuff in my show. I do Joe Walsh stuff, Rocky Mountain Way. I love that.
Talking about Mickey Most and his acts, is it true that he kind of threatened Donovan to give Mellow Yellow to Herman's Hermits?
Yeah.
What's your take on that story?
Well, Mickey said, I'm going to release this song as your next single. And Donovan said, no, I don't want all that big band, and I just want to do what I've normally done. He said, all right, then we'll give it to Herman's Hermits, knowing well that he'd turn around and say, all right, I'll do it.
Oh, when you heard that, were you like bummed that you didn't get Mellow Yellow?
Yeah, I would love to have had it. In fact, again, I do that.
Is that a song you cover?
Yeah. If I'm on my own, I've got loads of backing tracks that I made myself. I don't buy them off the shelf. I make them at home, and I do songs by other people that I've toured with or that I've known. So I do one of our songs, then I do maybe a Donovan track, then one of our songs, and a track by Dusty Springfield because we toured with her, and then another Del Shannon song. I do all songs by people that I've toured with. In fact, I even do my own version of My Generation by The Who.
You were very close with The Who.
Yeah.
You were close buddies with both John Entwistle, one of the best bass players of all time.
I would reckon he's the best bass player.
Think he's the best?
Yeah, his style. Yeah, people have tried to play like him, but they just can't. He's so quick, and his hands are so strong. He hammers on with his right hand instead of plucking, and he just hammers on, and that's how he gets all that ding ding. In fact, he showed me on tour. I kept saying, "How do you do that bass solo in My Generation?" And he showed me an easy way to play it. You're just hammering on and pulling off. So bound, diddly-doom, all that sort of stuff.
So that was his main secret, was the hammers.
Yeah, the hammering on and pulling off the strings, yeah.
Now, Karl, you come off as such a well-spoken English gentleman that I'm having such a hard time reconciling the fact that you are synonymous with Keith Moon's 21st birthday party. I have to ask, all my musician friends would be terribly disappointed if I did not ask for the definitive story. Was there a car in a swimming pool?
No.
Okay, you've heard it.
The cars have got in swimming pools, but not
on that particular
not in Flint,
night.
Michigan, no. The vending machines, some of those ended up in the swimming pool, I think, because we got the munchies late on, and we were shaking these things and getting all the crisps and Fritos, what are they called, corn chips out, yeah.
Okay, so you were breaking into vending machines. Mm-hmm. Is it true that Keith Moon was ripping one of your trouser legs off in some kind of scuffle?
No, it wasn't a scuffle. It was me that ripped Keith Moon's trousers off. He had a little split on the side of his trousers.
Okay.
And we were at his party. We'd all had a few drinks, and this was after we had the pie fight. Did you ever heard about the pie fight?
I heard about it. Some kind of food fight.
There was loads of birthday cakes, and Keith got a bit of cream and flicked it on my face, so I decided to pick up the whole cake in his face, and that started everyone. Cakes going everywhere, and then after that, Keith was stood just sort of getting his breath back, and he had this split in the side of his trousers, so I thought it'd be a good idea to get my hand into the little split and pull, and his trousers just came off. And the sad thing is that he didn't have any underpants on. He was going commando.
Oh, boy.
So he rushed out of the room, and as he rushed out, he tripped up, fell over, broke his tooth on a step. So the rest of that night, Keith and I spent in the dentist. I took him to the dentist, and he was having, whatever they give you to stop the pain. Is it what's it called, this stuff that calms you down?
Like the anesthetic?
Yeah. No, but there's a particular drug of the day that was supposed to be very good.
And I heard they couldn't give it to him because he had so much alcohol in his system.
Yeah, we'd drunk so much that night. But anyway, we spent all night in the dentist's, and we missed the plane the next day, so we had to hire a little 4-seater Cessna to catch the tour up. And we were still both drunk out of our heads, and we hit an electric storm. and we were sat in this little plane with our cups of vodka or whatever we were drinking, and every now and again it hit the ceiling of the plane, and we were sat in the back going, "We're going to die, we're going to die." And the pilot said, "No, you're all right. Don't worry, you'll be fine."
And I heard legendary stories about the cherry bombs in toilets blowing up hotel.
Yeah. Well, when we were on tour with Bobby V, he introduced us to cherry bombs. We'd never seen them. And we bought bags of them, and we'd drive down the highway and light one and throw it out, and it'd explode underneath the car behind us. We thought that was
Hilarious,
great fun.
right?
Yeah, it was fantastic fun. I mean, we were 17,
Yeah,
18 at the
young.
time. Anyway, I showed Keith these cherry bombs, and his eyes lit up. It was just like a little kid. He was like a naughty little boy.
Yeah.
And his eyes lit up, and he grabbed one of these cherry bombs, lit it, thought it'd be a good idea to throw it down the toilet, and blew the whole system off the wall.
Oh my gosh.
So the whole floor was flooded.
And I've heard about legendary fines that the Who incurred on his behalf of some of this debauchery in these hotel rooms, that they got fined some massive amounts.
Oh, yeah. The rooms, if you walked in any of our rooms back in the day then, it was like a bomb had gone off in there. Because we were teenagers, you know.
So you got this all out of your system young. That's why you're such quite the English gentleman now. Is that right?
I don't know about an English gentleman, but I'm I'm quite reserved now. I don't get into too much trouble now because I've got 3 daughters who tell me off if I do stupid things.
Okay, so you have people keeping you in check.
Yeah, I've been told that I used to ride motorbikes years ago, and I was over here in 2014, I think it was, and someone took a photograph of me looking at a Harley and put it online. And my daughters, within minutes, were all getting in touch with me. Don't you dare buy a Harley while you're there.
Because you've had broken bones
Oh, quite a few, yeah.
on several occasions. One was a skiing accident.
Skiing accident, I dislocated my shoulder and broke my elbow.
Was this at a time where you were actively performing? Did this...
Yeah, well, no, no, I'd left the band by then,
Okay.
yeah. When I did that, during bringing up my kids, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I left the band in 1980
Right.
to have a family. And I had 3 daughters, so it worked.
Absolutely. You mentioned Bobby V earlier, and a lot of people are not aware of the fact that you were on a tour with Bobby V, the Dick Clark American Bandstand Tour, where Dick Clark would put a bunch of up-and-coming talent and some people who had started to establish themselves on a tour. Was it a bus tour?
Yeah, we're on a Greyhound bus, yeah.
And Bobby V was slated to be the headlining act, and you guys came onto that lineup, but by the time that tour started, you had #1 hits.
Oh, yeah.
And they promoted you to be the headliner.
Yeah, I think it was the first week, Bobby was opening the show, and then Dick Clark decided that because we'd recently had, I think it was Mrs. Brown and Henry VIII, both in the charts at the same time, that he moved us to the top spot. And to his credit, Bobby was fantastic. He said, "No problem, I'll close the first half."
Yeah.
We all got on so well. Lovely fella. But yeah, we toured with them for a couple of months. Fantastic, really good time.
And fascinating that both you and Bobby V had huge Carole King written hits.
Yeah.
Bobby V had Take Good Care of My Baby. You had I'm Into Something Good.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Carole King?
Never. No, I'd love to have met her.
Okay.
Just to say thank you, but I went to see her show. What's beautiful.
Beautiful, the music.
Yeah, and I saw that in Chicago, would you believe? Back in 2017, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Great show.
she's on the list of people you would still like to meet.
I'd love to meet her.
Let's facilitate that, Miss Carole King, if you're watching or listening. I want to go back to a little bit of the beginning, and a lot of people don't know that you were actually the original lead singer of the band, and you were actually the guitar player.
Yeah, 6-string guitar, yeah.
And you decided that, well, you had an event in which Peter came up and sang with you guys, and you saw the girls lose their minds.
Oh, yeah, he was so popular. It was a youth club in Urmston where Peter and I lived at the time. And we went to play there. We were doing Buddy Holly stuff and Gene Vincent stuff and Eddie Cochran, all that sort of thing. And all the girls said, let Peter sing. So he came up. And he said, "Do you know I'll Never Dance Again by Bobby? I think it was Bobby Rydell. Can't remember who did it, but he came on and sang it with us, and the girls went crazy." Mm-hmm. So the bass player at the time, a guy called Al Wrigley, he said, "The guy's got to join the band." Yeah. So he asked him, and Peter said, "Yeah, why not?" And there, that's when it all came together. We were with the Heartbeats at the time, the band called the Heartbeats. Then we became Peter Novak and the Heartbeats.
Okay.
Then we changed our name to Herman and the Hermits. And then when Lech and Barry joined, we changed the name to Herman's Hermits, just for legal reasons, just to make sure that the two that, well, they basically got sacked because Mickey said, "Get a new bass player and a new drummer." So we sacked them both. Couldn't find a bass player. So I said, "All right, I'll play bass." Now we've got Lech on lead guitar.
Mm-hmm. Who's a great guitar player.
Yeah, and Keith Hopwood was a good guitar player as well. Both far better than me. So I decided to go on to bass and stayed on bass for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And it's just when I came back here in 2014 that I decided to go back onto six string, because you can actually stop playing if you're playing a guitar. If you're playing bass, you can't stop, because if a bass player stops playing, the whole bottom end goes out of the band and you lose all the rock.
I wanted to ask you about that, because a lot of people assume that when you switch from guitar to bass, that bass is an easier instrument, which in some cases can be. But in your case, in Herman's Hermits, there were some very intricate harmonies. Singing harmony and playing bass is very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you get into that? Did you have to rehearse a lot? Were you practicing? Because that's not an easy switch.
You got to train your brain to do two things at once. The only song I've ever played on bass that I cannot sing is Robert Palmer's, what was his big hit?
Addicted to Love?
That's the one, yeah. The bass line,
do, do, do,
do, do, do, and it goes right across the vocal rhythm.
Right.
And I've tried to sing it with playing bass, but I can't.
Okay. Well, and also you had songs like Show Me Girl. Mm-hmm. There's a walking bass line and harmonies. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to that saying, that's kind of tricky for Karl to be singing those harmonies and playing that part live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just got to train your brain. It's muscle memory, basically. Yeah. You do it often enough and it becomes easy.
What was the rehearsal process like back then? When you're doing these huge shows, you're playing on Ed Sullivan, Dean Martin, Hullabaloo, as I mentioned, that wonderful Reader's Poll concert. Mm-hmm. How much time were you guys spending rehearsing these songs?
We didn't actually. Once we'd cut the record, we'd go out on tour and basically do the songs immediately. We'd always rehearse before a tour, okay, but it's just the rhythm section normally that we got together and made sure the rhythm section was tight.
Okay.
And when I was playing bass, I used to push Barry, the drummer, because Barry tended to slow down a little bit.
Sure.
I had to push him.
You were driving.
Yeah. And I played again in the 90s with Peter. Peter came over to England, and three of us went to see his show, and he said, "Well, why don't you come on and play?" So we actually gave his band the night off, went and played with him, and Peter said, "Oh, I've missed your bass playing.
Yeah.
You do push a lot."
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's great of him, yeah.
Nice. Speaking of being polished and doing some challenging things, this has been sort of one of the things that you've kind of pushed back about, that I feel some of these music critics have tried to discredit your band's musicianship.
Oh, always. Because we were young and because we did teeny bopper stuff.
But you were talented musicians.
Yeah, we could all play. Yeah. I could play classical guitar quite nicely.
Right.
In fact, I do a lot of sound in England. Whenever someone comes from all over the world to do their, sort of world music, I go and do the mixing for them, because I know which mics to use and how to mic up a nice Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
I work with Paco de la Chia, with Tomachito, Vincente Amigo. They're all masters of the flamenco guitar.
Yes. And another thing that tells me about you is you are a deep, profound lover of music and sonics. Mm-hmm. Because you run front of the house sound for a number of bands. You are wearing a Mick Ralph's shirt in tribute of this man who just unfortunately, sadly passed.
Yeah.
But you used to run his front of house sound.
Yeah, I worked with him a few times when he was touring Europe. Yeah.
And you've done the Pretenders too?
Yeah, yeah. Did the Pretenders at a place called Union Chapel in London, and we had to put a big perspex box over the drummer because it was so big. This place, so many echoes, you know. So just to isolate the drummer, we covered him in a perspex box, put a wedge in there so he could hear everyone else.
Any other artists that we might know of that you've run sound?
I've done bits with Dave Gilmour. It's hard to remember. I toured for 10 years with the Heavy Metal Kids, who are a big rock band in England. They had a hit over here as well, I think. And I'm just trying to think who else. Splinter groups from can't remember the names of the bands now. This is what age does for you folks. Age. You get old and my ram's full. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of really good musicians anyway over the years doing front of house, and they all think I've got good ears.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love kick and bass drum, you know, bass drum and bass. So
that first bass that you did not have a bass when you made the decision to switch to bass, is that right?
that's right. Yeah, I said I'll play bass, and then I had to go and try and find a lefty.
Which was
back
very
in the day,
difficult back in the day.
Back in '64, it was just impossible to get a left-handed bass.
And you bought an Echo?
An Echo violin candy stripe bass, yeah.
That's one of the ones with the cutouts like the Paul McCartney Hofner.
That's right, yeah, but it's a solid body, and it had flick switches that would rattle. I didn't realise they rattled until we went in the studio. And we were doing a 4-hour session to do I'm Something Good in the B-side, and it took about an hour to get the bass sounding right. And at the end of the session, I had gaffer tape all over the bass to stop the switches rattling, foam stuck under the strings, foam on the neck, all sorts of stuff to stop it making superfluous noises.
So you learned very quickly what needed to be done on that bass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, after that, when we got a hit, I could afford to go out and buy a decent bass.
And you promptly got another bass. Was the next one the Thunderbird? Or?
No, the first one that I bought after the hit was, it was an Epiphone Rivoli that I didn't like, and I sold it. I wish I hadn't because it's probably worth a fortune now. Then I got a Fender P bass, which was my favourite bass. Mm-hmm. And I was sponsored by Gibson. They gave me a right-handed Gibson, which was no good because every time I moved my left hand to play, I would alter the tone or the volume would go down.
So the knobs.
I sold that very quickly, got rid of it, and went back to my Fender P bass. And I played that all the way until 1980. Fantastic. Great
now,
bass.
Where is all this equipment now? Do you have any of it still?
No, I kept all my speakers and stuff because I bought the PA when we were touring as Herman'shermits. So when I left, I took that back and I was putting it in storage. And a friend of mine said, "Why don't you go out as a sound engineer?" I thought, well, why not?
That's great gear.
I upgraded it, and it ended up as a 10K rig with 5K fallback. And I just used to go out and work with all these different bands around London.
Did you keep your bass amps too?
No, I use. I've got my Fender. I got rid of. I use Mark bass now.
Okay.
Which is very light.
Yeah.
And it sounds great. You know, the speakers are very light. The amps weigh nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, the old SVTs that we used to use take about 5 people to carry those into a gig. Big 8 by 10 cabs, and the actual amp was very heavy. But now I still use valve amps now for guitar, but for bass I don't mind using a digital amp because it's nice and clean.
Right.
But when you're playing guitar, I want a bit of crunch with it.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm playing Joe Walsh sort of stuff.
Did you happen to watch the Led Zeppelin documentary that was on Netflix?
Would you believe I watched it on the plane coming over?
Okay.
What a great, fantastic. And I was amazed at how articulate all of them are. They're very well educated guys, and you could tell that Jimmy knew what he wanted. He just put his foot down and said, "No singles. We're going to do it my way or the highway." And that's what you've got to be like in this business. Or people take over and do things the way they want, and it's not always the way the band should go. Yeah.
Now, you were friends. I mean, Jimmy Page played on a few of your songs. John Paul Jones did a lot of work with you guys. You were friends. Do you remember seeing Led Zeppelin when they were Led Zeppelin for the first time?
I saw them at the Marquee Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Oh, unreal. I mean, they were so loud that people were going out in the streets and being physically sick because of the bottom end messes with your guts.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
But really low frequencies can destroy people, you know. And the bass rig he must have had was so low, it was lovely.
Yeah.
And the way they play is just in your face.
Did you know that they were going to become...
I could see straight away.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the hits then.
Right.
And they went on stage at the Marquee just to have a blow. And it was out of this world. Out of this world. I just knew that they would be good because I knew how John could play. I knew how Jimmy could play. I'd never heard Plant's voice and I'd never heard Bonham play. But fantastic. One of the best bands in the world ever.
Have you spoken with John Paul Jones or Jimmy Page?
No, I've not seen John since last time I saw him was at Mickey's funeral.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse funeral. And funnily enough, he came up to me and he said, "You know what? I couldn't even pick a television up nowadays. Never mind, throw it out the window."
And Peter Grant was in the same office as Mickey Mouse.
That's right. Yeah, they shared an office in Dean Street, I think it was. Yeah.
Did you know Peter Grant?
Very well. Yeah, yeah. In fact, my first decent car was a Jaguar Mark II, and I bought that from Peter. And he got rid of it and got a roller, I think. But I got my Mark II and a fabulous car. Fabulous car.
He appeared to be very intimidating. Right?
Peter?
Yes.
He was a pussycat.
Really?
It was all front, all that hard man.
That's very interesting.
I'm sure that if someone annoyed him, he'd lay him down, he'd lay him out. But he was a sweet guy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
Very nice guy.
To know. Now, I want to get back to Mickey Mouse a little bit because when we're talking about people trying to discredit the band's musicianship, they speak to the fact that back in that day, there were some session musicians that played on some material.
Yep.
Now, we've all heard you just talk about you playing live on all those #1 hits, Mrs. Brown, I'm Into Something Good, Henry VIII. That was all of you 5.
All of us, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you played on all the big hits.
Yeah.
When was talk of session or additional musicians coming in? When did that start occurring?
Well, Mickey tried to get a session musician in for Silhouettes.
Okay.
Because he thought Lec couldn't play the riff that had been written.
Sure.
So they got, I think they got a guy called Vic Flick.
Vic Flick.
Who was a big session musician at the time, to come in and play the da-da-la-da-da-la-da-da-la-da-da-la.
Great riff.
He couldn't get it. Sat there for half an hour trying to play it from the dots. And when he tried to do it for so long, Lec just said to Mickey, "Is this what you want?" and played it straight off. He'd only listened to it once, and he did it. So Mickey just said, "Okay, Vic, get your check. Off you go. Goodbye."
You know, that's fascinating because there's been these urban legends and myths saying that that was Vic Flick's warm-up on his guitar and that he kind of wrote that riff or created that riff. But there was a band before you that recorded that song.
Yeah, the Rays.
Okay.
And there was 2 bands, actually. One was doo-wop sort of stuff.
Okay.
And the other was a little bit quicker, but we sped it up quite a lot.
Okay.
It was like a do-do-do-do-do-do.
Sure.
All that sort of stuff, yeah. But yeah, we listened to it and thought, great. I mean, the bass part was just dum, dum,
Yeah.
dum, dum, dum. So you didn't need a session guy for that.
Sure. And then, you know, obviously, when you had horns and stuff like, there's kind of a hush.
Yep.
You guys were not horn players, and
No, we had orchestras behind us. And for a while, the Musicians' Union, when we first started, they let you mime, what you call it, pantomime, yeah? When you lip sync to something. Yeah. We'd go on the top of the pops and things like that and just mime the song. And then the MU said that all the musicians that were on the record have got to be there. So we did top of the pops and we'd have like a 20-piece orchestra behind a curtain behind us. And we'd have to try and play together with that lot.
Yeah.
But they're all professional musicians.
Yeah.
So and the conductor would just listen to us in his ear and keep them in time with us.
Being such a fan of music, was that so much fun for you to see all these fantastic orchestral musicians come in and
Oh,
work on
yeah.
your music?
At the sessions, it was fantastic. You'd get all these little old guys with their cigars playing violin, and we'd have a lot of chat. Just the four of us playing along with them. We'd sort of say, "Well, what we're going to do in the bridge here, there, and everywhere." And the guys would just sit and smoke their cigars, and then Mickey would say, "All right, time to another one," and they'd just pick up their violins, knew exactly where to start. Real pros, yeah. But it was fun trying to play in time with them all, because we didn't have metronomes. We played in free time, which I'd much rather play because you get dynamics that way. I've tried working with metronomes, and it just sounds like a beatbox.
Right. And you didn't overdub back in the day.
No, well, we sort of did. The first few records we made were on half track, which is just a left and right quarter-inch tape. So we do the backing on one side, then we do the vocals on the other side, and then mix those two down to another half track, and then put the backing vocals on
Right.
the track that was left. So basically, we did it on like what people now remember as a home recording, quarter-inch
Right.
tape. Now, if you go to a studio with tape, it's like 3 inches
Yeah, oh, yeah.
deep. If you're working 24 track or more.
Now, at some point, is it true that Peter and Mickey lived in the same town and that Peter started doing some recordings with other musicians just for
I don't remember
ease?
that. No, maybe after he left the band,
Okay.
because he didn't record with other people. The only thing he did was "Oh You Pretty Thing,"
Right, with
but it
David
was
Bowie.
still with the band, but we didn't play on that.
Right.
And I refused to play anything that was Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits. I refused to play them.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to ask you about that specifically. In the late 60s, there seemed to be this movement of trying to separate the lead singer from the band. You had Eric Burdon in the Animals,
Yeah.
you had Diana Ross in the Supremes, and I feel that that was just a horrible decision because it must have been demoralizing to you musicians.
Yeah, when Peter said I'm leaving the band, or he threatened to leave the band so many times, but it was the management and the agents that were putting him up to this, that were pushing him because they thought they could earn more money
Right.
getting him into things like the Palladium for 4 weeks. They wouldn't have to work so hard. Keep someone in. They put us in pantomime, which is, I don't know if you know what pantomime is in England. It's a thing that we put on, a stage show that you put on around Christmas, and it's a woman plays the lead man and a man plays the lead woman. It's
Okay.
ridiculous, but it's funny. It's for kids, and they put us in a pantomime for 3 months when we had #1 hits and things, and we were playing this little theatre in Chester when we could have been out on the road doing stadiums.
There's a lot of, you have such a loyal fan base. People are still loving your music, commenting on your music, going to see Peter live, going to see different members of the band live whenever they can, because it brings so much joy. And I think that there's a lot of people who are genuinely confused as to what led to the breakup. And it seems like there was a little bit of factor slowly building up. And maybe that was one of the first chips, was them trying to separate Peter from you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Peter, at the end of his tenure with Herman's Hermits, he said, I don't want to be known as Herman anymore.
Okay.
I want to be known as Peter Noon, and the band's holding me back and all this. He then left. We carried on as Herman's Hermits and came over here in the 70s and toured quite a bit without him. That's when I was singing lead. And then he realised he couldn't make a living. So he wanted the name back. So mid-70s, he went out and tried to call himself Herman's Hermits, and we slapped an injunction on him and had a long law battle that cost me personally a lot. I was basically worked for 2 years with no pay, and then I decided to leave the band. Once we won the name, I left the band and left Lech and Barry to tour with the name. And it was not until Lech died that Peter tried to get the name back again. And he did. He got the name back in the States. And that's why he's working now so well. I mean, I've been to see him, and I must admit, he's very good. Incredibly good. His voice is great. He runs around the stage like a teenager. And he obviously has a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I've been to a few of his shows, and the fans love it.
So Barry plays as Herman, as a version
Yeah, Barry's
of
still out on the road as Herman's Hermits.
And Peter plays as a version of Herman's. Do you have any desire to maybe join them at any point, or have your own version of Herman's Hermit?
No, no. I always said if I left the band, I've left it.
Okay.
I'll go out as me, ex Herman's Hermits, and I do the old songs,
Right.
but I do them my way, which is a little heavier. I like a lot more kick and snare on my shows. If I can't feel the kick drum blowing my trousers against the back of my leg, he ain't playing loud enough.
And it's interesting. Peter, I feel like Peter has come to that realization. He's been very forthcoming in interviews. Mm-hmm. He even said he had lead singer's disease, which is a term that us musicians use for when lead singers get a little bit full of themselves. Yep. Yep. They get a little ego. And in his case, he had a lot of those manager types putting things into his head.
Yeah, yeah.
You've been very diplomatic, when speaking about him and the other members of the band. And I'm curious, wondering if that was maybe because you were leaving the door open to perhaps play with them again.
Well, Peter's, I've always said that if Peter wanted to get back together with everyone that's living still, I would do it. Right. I'd love to do it.
Right.
But Peter and Barry just don't get on at all.
It's so unfortunate. And I feel that you're kind of at peace with your past.
Oh, yeah. I left the band to have a family. It worked out. I came to the realization that I thought, what's more important, having children or having lots of money? And I thought, I'd rather have kids.
Right.
And now I've got 3 daughters who are in their late 30s, early 40s. I've got 5 grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I'm a happy little bunny. My life's been fantastic.
Do the grandkids know that their grandfather is a rocker?
No, my kids really didn't know that much either. I tried to keep it from them.
Yeah.
But when they went to school, they came home and said, "My teacher wants your autograph." Why?
But that is so admirable. You don't hear many stories of that, because you not only did you quote unquote retire from the music industry, you had some different, you were in home renovations, you had a tiling business, you were doing home renovations, which is a fairly normal type of living. You were earning a living, but you never were away from your children.
No, when I decided to have children, I said to Kay, my wife, that I won't. If I join a band again, I'll never tour the States while they're kids. Because I wanted to be there. I think the most expensive thing you can give your kids, or the most valuable thing, is your time.
Absolutely.
And I gave them. I had the tiling business, but if I'd finish a job early, I'd go and pick them up from school, or if I wasn't starting till late, I'd take them to school. Kay and I shared looking after the kids quite a lot. She had an antique business, and she worked Saturday, Sunday, so that I would look after the kids all weekend, take them out to parks and forests, and just let them have a good time.
Yeah.
And it pays dividends, because now my girls are so close. They phone me every day when I'm here, or they message me, and I miss them.
This is a story you don't hear from many musicians. You hear the opposite.
Well, I saw Barry and Lek with their kids, and Keith. They didn't see their kids growing up. And
Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And the kids miss their dads, when they're out on the road.
And they don't have a full comprehension of how that all works.
That's right, yeah.
They just know you're not with them.
That's right.
But your kids knew that you were with them and you chose to be with them.
Yeah.
So that is invaluable.
And when Daisy, my youngest, she was the first one to have children, she said, "Dad, I know what it's like now." She said, she knows she was terrible. She was a real pain. She was a rebel.
A rebel?
Yeah, definitely. Always in trouble.
Chip off the old block?
Yeah, definitely. She's so like me that I couldn't sort of berate her for it. But now she said, "I know what it's like." And now she's got kids of her own. She says, "I know what you and Mum went through," with her especially.
I also wanted to ask a couple other things. The End of the World song was licensed for the Queen's Gambit series.
Yeah.
Did you see that episode? Because it was a great placement.
Yeah, I watched the whole series.
Wasn't it a great show?
A show, yeah.
But I thought they did a really nice placement of that song.
Yeah. It was also, one of our songs was in Sons of Anarchy as well.
Yes.
Yeah, which I thought was fantastic because I watched that the whole series, because I love bikes and all that sort of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. What a proud moment for you.
Oh, yeah.
I really do feel like you guys are getting a little bit more respect as the time passes by.
That's a bit nice, yeah. But it's also, it's nice to sort of look back and think that all these films have got our music in, or not necessarily by us, but other people. I think in the Sons of Anarchy, I think it was No Milk Today, but a different version, which was fantastic, a really good version.
Are you surprised by the fans' response to that song? I think I've heard Peter say that that's one of the most requested songs at his shows is No Milk
No Milk
Today.
Today, really?
Yeah.
I love it. It's another Graham Gilman song. Very clever.
Yeah, and it has that minor section.
Yeah.
It's
Major to minor, major to minor.
Yeah, so it's a little different for you guys because everyone knows you as like strictly happy, poppy, upbeat, major.
Yeah.
But that minor just is striking. And even like the melancholy nature of End of the World, it's so beautiful. I think it's aged so wonderfully.
Oh, I love it. I still do The End of the World, but I do more of the Skeeter Davis version. It's got an extra minor in there somewhere, which it makes it for me a lot more poignant.
And the Ramones, are you aware that the Ramones have talked about your band, as being a major influence?
I got friended by a couple of them.
Did you?
Years ago, yeah.
Unbelievable.
And none of them are alive still, but there's people going around saying they're a Ramone.
I think, Marky might be the only one who's left. But Joey Ramone spoke about Peter being a vocal hero, and if you actually really listen to the Ramones, he sings in a very similar style to Peter that you might not put two and two together unless you knew that fact that he was referencing and kind of maybe mimicking, some of his phrasing.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how many people, different artists, actually like us. Because a friend of mine, Connor, who actually helped bring me back in 2014, he works on the road as a merch man.
Okay.
And he works with Johnny Marr a lot from the Smiths.
Yes.
And apparently they keep going on about how great herman'shermits were. I've had no idea that the Smiths liked us. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Karl, wrapping up, I know that when most people approach you on the street, they come up to you and they talk to you about how happy your music has made them.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What has brought you, Karl Green, the most happiness?
Oh,
that you can look back
my kids.
Well, yes,
My
absolutely.
kids are my greatest achievement, definitely.
Absolutely.
But I'm just happy when you stood on stage. I mean, I still do it because I love it. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love it. And to stand on stage and start playing something like I'm into something good to kids that are like teenagers, they know the words still. 61 years on. It's ridiculous. To look out in the audience and see all these happy faces singing along, woke up this morning, and they know the words. Totally amazes me, and it just makes it all worthwhile.
Is there any particular performance moment that you go back to as saying, oh, if I could relive one performance, it would be this particular one? Does anything stand out?
I really enjoyed the Madison Square Gardens gig because it was big and we had a great PA, fabulous monitors, and whoever was mixing the sound, it wasn't our guy, but whoever was mixing it did a great job.
Do you know what year that was?
It'd be, oh my God, it'd be mid-70s.
Okay, so that was
I think it was
later.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who was in the band then. But it was a really good gig. I mean, I was singing lead at the time as well. Oh, no, it's when Peter got back together with us. That's right. It'd be 74.
Okay.
74.
So Peter was there.
Yeah, we did a reunion, like the British are coming. There was us, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders, the Searchers, Billy Kramer and the Dakotas. In fact, Billy actually lives in Chicago suburbs, and I keep promising myself I'm going to get in touch with him and go out for a drink.
Let's make that happen.
So it might happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so you want to meet up with Billy Kramer. We would love to meet Carole King. That would be an honor for you. And you are open to all the living members coming back together to perform.
Oh, I've stated that on many times. I would love it. I can't see it happening. Peter and Barry just will never be in the same room again.
It's unfortunate.
It is. We had some great years. Barry was my best friend in the band until Lek died. And Barry did a few things that I didn't agree with. So,
but again, you've never bashed any of these band members. You speak of them with respect, and you tell it like it is.
Well, they were my buddies.
Yeah.
And they still are, really. You know, deep down, I still love Barry.
You spent your formative years growing up as young men,
Yeah.
boys turning into men with each other. You were mates.
Yeah, I knew Peter at the age of 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't get together in a band until I was 15. But yeah, I just knew of him as well, because he was a bit of a character, from where we both from.
Yeah.
He was, his parents were fantastic. They used to let us go into the house, rehearse in the house, and all this sort of stuff. Great people.
Well, Karl Green, your life has been so inspiring, especially the personal details about having a family, being there for your children. That is just so wonderful and lovely and inspiring. So thank you so much for talking with me today. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.